everyone, Adrian here. So I know it's been a really long time since last I've made a music review of a musical project that I'm not involved in. Sorry. But I am happy to say today that changes. I recently had the pleasure of being contacted by one of the members of the legendary band Machine in the Garden. Just thinking about that is just exciting. And they informed me they were going to be releasing their first album in many years, which is amazing, isn't it? It's absolutely amazing. So, of course, I was beyond thrilled. And I was thrilled because I really enjoyed their work in the 90s and the early 2000s, as that's the era of goth music that I tend to gravitate toward. I personally have the albums Aspera and Out of the Mists in my possession that I got many years ago, so that's cool. And you guys know how thrilled I am by new goth music. It's particularly exciting for me when a band from the past picks up the pieces from where they left off and continues to create something new. It's great. So this new album is called The Spaces in Between, and like I said, this is their first release in many years. I will be going through each track on this album and how I feel about it and how awesome it is. The first track is Cold Storm, and it really sets the stage for the mystical and dark symphony that Machine in the Garden presents to us. I love the quality of Summer's voice, and I noticed that it has greatly matured since last we heard them. I also really like that she is pushing her boundaries with her vocal range. That's really awesome. I really encourage that with any singer, no matter what genre it is. The layers and layers of the rich tapestry of music concocted in this first track really just pulls you in and is a reminder of an era gone by. The next track we have is 1,000 Years of War, and it is, in just one word, fascinating. I love it when a song builds by stacking layers and layers of music and instruments and textures upon each other to create a complete product, and that's definitely what happened here. While technically speaking of compositional structure as simple, I love the layers. The drums going in, the synthesizer, the electronic beats, one voice chanting, one voice singing, an entirely different line simultaneously. Just wow. That's definitely something I've not heard in a very long time. Plus, I'm a whore for 6/8 time signature, so that beat and that rhythm is so incredibly intoxicating to me. The next track is Beyond. I often say that beautiful dissonance is a hard quality to obtain, and it's true. But Machine in the Garden definitely has made it into their signature, and that is especially evident in this album as a whole, this track in particular. The guitar is a little more present here than it was in the previous tracks, and while it sounds very much like guitar work that I sometimes hear with post-punk goth music from the 80s, it still retains that really mystical quality, which, again, is what makes Machine in the Garden so special. Once again, I love the layered voices, the chanting resting below the soaring, almost operatic vocals. It's so beautiful and, again, fascinating. This song in particular almost has a hypnotic quality. It's like getting lost in a glass of absinthe. It's pretty awesome. The next one is called Underneath, and dear God, it is so stunningly understated, and sometimes being understated can really impress. I love that they mellowed out with this piece. I love the guitar and the lute together, really creates an interesting vibe. And again, it blends the past and the present together, and the drums set a lovely foundation for Summer's voice. Again, I love the layering of voices here. It adds an extra level of intrigue to this understated piece. The vocal arrangements on this album as a whole are really impressive. It's incredibly melancholy and mystical at the same time. I just can't get enough. The next track is Prophetic Bird. I love the synths mimicking the sound of wind and a synthesized choir setting the stage for Summer's voice to enter. This song is also minimalistic, yet very effective. The touches of piano in this one was a really pleasant surprise. Again, it's mystical and plaintive. It almost feels Celtic in both the compositional structure and in the subject matter. The focus, rightfully so, is on the storytelling instead of perfect technique, which sometimes is a really awesome way to shake things up a bit. And once again, the layered voices don't clash, not at all. Even though the legato line and the almost chant-like lower line are very much in contrast, it's cohesive, it makes sense. It goes together really, really well. The sixth track is Broken Days. It starts with dissonant and atmospheric noise that sets a foundation for the lute and for Summer's incredibly soft and almost secretive voice for this song. There's just something delightfully uneasy about this piece, and it's just fascinating to listen to. The multiple voices also add to that uneasy feeling. Hearing either the oboe or bassoon layered over the electronic noise was really, really cool. It literally made me say, ooh, nice. The next track is Ad Astra per Aspera, which in Latin translates to Through Hardships to the Stars. The single chords on the guitar and the drum beats are joined by electronic beats, another guitar, and Summer's voice. Again, this is wonderfully off-putting with the wonderful use of dissonance, but the addition of the synthesized strings really make it blossom into something lovely and really introspective. It's really nice. I'll be honest, this album is incredibly introspective and almost meditative. It's a little softer than some of their earlier work that I am more familiar with, but that's not a complaint at all. This song is very soft and very dark, but there's a very faint ray of hope and inspiration in the words. Track 8 is Courage, Power, and Wisdom. The beginning, starting off with the reverberating piano here, was really nice and very different. As those tones fade, it turns into electronic beats, distorted guitar, and Summer's voice. Really lovely. Remember what I said about this being meditative? It has been that way both musically and lyrically, which is nice. I really like it when some music does try to convey a spiritual message to ignite some kind of inspiration. The way it started out with, "Hey, listen," it almost felt like a spiritual pep talk. I really liked it. The next song we have is Spirit and Image. Here we have a long one. Again, not necessarily a bad thing. Hell, I was on a song that was almost a half hour long. I have no room to talk. The sustained guitar joining with Summer's soaring voice is lovely and really gives you the feeling of floating, which is really awesome. And that floating feeling really transitions nicely into the electronic beats that come in a little later. This starts out very minimalistically, but this works in their favor because each part of the whole is rich and meaningful. I loved the middle section of the song where there's a little piano interlude and Summer's soaring voice is just gliding effortlessly above it all. Again, it adds to the mystical feeling of this album. This song is even more meditative than the previous one. I found this to be inspirational as well, which is something we all need right now. I especially love the part of the closing verse that said, "If I twist apart reality, it doesn't matter what they claim. This is what I choose to be. A phantom exposed within peels away opposing power." So I thought that was really powerful. The rest of the song is just a symphony of Summer's voice, guitar, drums, and even distorted synthesizers. Even though this song is 11 minutes, you would not be able to tell because it moves along so organically and it doesn't drag on and it keeps you interested. For track 10, we have Orbital. Guitars start this one out, very melancholy and pulse-like, then Summer's voice softly floats on top of it before her other vocal parts join in. This one, again, very soft and quiet, but I love the round of vocal parts on this one. It's definitely different. It's honestly something I've not heard since my high school choir days. It's really creative to create a choral trio with your own voice. The following track is O Yukari, which is a Machine in the Garden arrangement of the 12th century song of the same name by Abbess Hildegard von Bingen. I'm sorry, I'm terrible with German names. So sorry. It brings back very fond memories I have of singing sacred pieces in Latin in high school choir. It really gave me goosebumps. This just straight up sounds like it could be in a cathedral, which very much suits the subject matter of the song. This mostly has a prayer-like quality, which is the desired effect. This is probably the most ethereal sounding song on here. The nice electronic beats do a nice job of breaking up the long phrasings of the instrumentation and making it a goth ethereal masterpiece. It was so good. It's really awesome to see reinterpretations of songs from the past made into a different style. This is probably one of the coolest examples of that, in my opinion. The penultimate track is Find a Way. It starts out with some very ominous sounding chords on a piano with just Summer's voice accompanying it, which is simple yet very effective. This is a very short and simple ballad in the form of a sorrowful soliloquy. Finally, we have Resist. It starts off with some very invigorating drum beats, then guitars, and then Summer's voice joins in. This is probably the heaviest, aggressive, and rocky song on the album, which I don't mind one bit because it very much suits the lyrics so damn well. This was surprisingly brief, but then again, you don't need a long-ass song to be effective. It really gets the message across. Overall, this album is really fascinating, interesting, different, mystical, sophisticated, and inspiring. There are a lot of times in this album where Summer sounds so much like Lisa Gerrard from Dead Can Dance, which I think is part of what adds to what makes this so mystical sounding. I really love how her voice has matured over the years, and it really comes together here. From what I can gather in comparison to other earlier works, they have backed off the rock and post-punk distorted elements just a bit, but it doesn't make it any less engaging. If anything, this is an excellent demonstration of their versatility. This is really good reading music or road trip music, and some of it is really dancey. I dig. So if you guys are a huge fan of Machine in the Garden, Faith in the Muse, Dead Can Dance, and This Ascension, this will definitely suit your needs. I will leave links for all of the information on this album in the description below so you can go check it out. Trust me, you won't be disappointed. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I know this video was a little long, but it's a music review. What can you expect? It just happens. So all of the links to my social media will be in the description below. Please follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, and don't forget to follow my Facebook fan page, and feel free to become a patron if you want. The patrons get a sneak peek of stuff before it even comes out, so check that out in the link below. And I just added a new design to my merch store, so please go check that out as well. You guys are amazing, I love you, and I will see you guys later. Bye!